Okay, so how did I go from this to this? And here's another view. Without going to the dentist. Let me show you. Okay, I'd like to start this video off by saying I am not a dentist. I have absolutely no dental training. This video is not meant to be construed as advice. Certainly not medical advice, but it's not even garden variety advice. This is just the road that I went down, and I'm sure it's a temporary one. Having said all that, and I am not responsible for you taking this information and mutilating your mouth or anything else. I'm just letting you know what I did. Okay, so looking at this dental horror show, let me just give you the quick rundown of how I got to this point. So there's obviously a missing tooth. Next to it is what they call a post, which is the original natural tooth that's been shaved down by a dentist. Those two would be the center front bottom teeth, and then the two going outward, two more on each side would make a total of 6. I had 6 root canals in one day. All 6 of those were shaved down, and porcelain crowns were put on top of those teeth. And that was done a really long time ago. And it cost me $13,000 in cash. But I was very happy with the result because basically my bottom teeth were crooked. I did not have braces. It was just something that at some point in my life I said I wanted to do something about. And my bottom teeth had gotten rather discolored compared to the rest of my teeth. So I decided to go with, what they call Hollywood white. And I was very, very happy with it. Very, very happy with the result. I'm not happy with the bill, but very happy with the result. Okay, so fast forward, I don't know, maybe 15 years. And a number of years ago, I bit down on something in a restaurant just the wrong way, and I want to say it was some kind of like baby back rib or something, and that tooth that is now missing, I loosened it. I loosened it real bad, and although I was recommended by some dentists to yank out, believe it or not, my entire bottom arch and go with a denture, which of course I thought was insane. And I literally ran out of that dentist's office and never went back. I just decided to hang on. I figured, let me kick this can as far down the road as I can. Yes, dental implants are something that I would like to get someday. But for now, I hung on to my teeth. Well, about a year ago, that loose one finally just came out. And it basically came out, the crown and the post tooth that was underneath it just basically fell out of my mouth. And so what I did is I actually ground down the post, not all the way to the bottom of the crown, because that would have left like a gap, an air gap, but I ground it down to where the gum line was. And I was actually gluing it in between the teeth on either side of it. And I tried a couple of different things. I did not use dental grade cement or adhesive. I first tried the fairly inexpensive resin you can buy on Amazon, which you point an ultraviolet pen light at it for anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds, and it hardens and cures very, very fast. And it's exceedingly useful for a variety of applications. And I will show you later in this video what I did use it for, but it just doesn't adhere to that porcelain very well. I guess the porcelain is a very, very smooth surface, and it just kind of like, even though it gets very, very hard, it'll last like a day, and then it just kind of peels off. And I tried it a number of different ways, and I gave up on that. Traditional liquid crazy glue, no good. It's too runny, it's too viscous, and it just runs down the side of the tooth, and you can't really get it in the way you want. But crazy glue gel actually works really, really well. And so for a year, I was gluing it in, and it would last, some days it would only last, sometimes it would only last a couple of days and would break out, and I'd have to re-glue it. And then other times I'd glue it in and it would last like 5-6 weeks. But of course, eventually I'd have to reaffix it. I knew it wasn't permanent. I'm sure if I got dental grade cement, it would have been permanent, but it wasn't. Okay. But I lived with that. And then about 2 months ago, I don't know how this happened, but it had gotten loose, and I had it in my pocket, and I came home, and suddenly it wasn't in my pocket anymore, and I didn't have a hole in my pocket. I don't know where it went. I don't know. It's a real mystery to me. And so I was, of course, very, very upset. I'd lost it. I didn't know what I was going to do. And so the only thing I could do was I actually contacted a guy who makes, cosmetic, prosthetic teeth, for dentists. But I figured I would just cut out the middleman, go see him, and see if he would make it for me. And sure enough, he did. And he made me what they call a one-tooth flipper. And this is what it looks like here. Anyway, so this was the one-tooth flipper I had made for $300, and I got to tell you, I was never really happy with it. Not only the color of the tooth here in the upper part, what didn't match, but there's something, the texture of it just doesn't match. And I didn't want to use, I guess I'm supposed to use traditional denture adhesive down here and stick it on my gum, but I didn't do that. I was basically doing the same thing. I was putting the crazy glue gel here and sticking it in my mouth, and it was just terrible. It's been the bane of my existence for a couple of months, and never really happy with it. So let's put that aside. All right, well, I didn't want to return to the horrendous view. I thought I'd at least show you from this point forward the new improved view. Now, you're probably noticing that between the teeth, you can see what almost looks like chicken stuck between the teeth. And that's not what it is. That is basically crazy glue gel, is what that is. So, is this full-on dental quality? No. But compared to what it looked like, it's night and day. So how did I go about doing this? Well, as it turns out, you can get resin teeth, and I may have said that earlier in the video, on Amazon rather inexpensively. I got some A2s. They weren't the right color. As a matter of fact, let me show you my first attempt at this. All right, so this was my very, very first attempt at making my own prosthetic. Yeah, you can see it is darker than the A1. In fact, let me pull out an A1 tooth and put it next to it. All right, so obviously this is the whiter tooth, and it's not massively whiter, but it is whiter. I'm not sure how it. Sometimes these cell phone cameras can be deceptive. But yeah, I can see as I'm filming it that this was substantially wider. Now, did I get a perfect color match with my existing crowns, which are made out of porcelain? No, I did not. Now, that's A1. Apparently, there's another scale, BL 1 through 4, 1 being the widest, BL meaning bleach. They created that because basically people in this country have gotten, a little bit obsessed about white teeth. And so I may look into doing this again, but with some BL ones. But for now, what I have is good. So I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to also show you so that you get an idea of what I did from the back. So this is the one that goes on the post, right? And I hollowed it out. But when I hollowed it out using a Dremel tool with a couple of different, those metal bits that I guess you can get it all this stuff at Harbor Freight very inexpensively. And but I wound up poking through it, and so this is where I actually filled it in with that resin that you harden with an ultraviolet light, and then ground that down, and that actually came out fine. I wasn't unhappy with that. And then my thinking was, let me glue that with this tooth, which I didn't hollow out because this is where the missing tooth goes, and I glued them together. And the part of this that just a dentist won't do this for you. I mean, you could even ask your dentist, can you make me a tooth and cement it? I don't know, for some reason they just won't do this for you. I've asked, and I knew that nobody would work on shaping the tooth and getting like a perfect fit, other than me, because I was, of course the tooth is a little wider, and then you use I'll show you just really quick. This bit here in the Dremel would sand down the sides and make them nice and flat, because you want a nice flat side to it so that it gets as much contact with the tooth next to it for affixing. And so what I did was I made it so that I had to rather forcefully jam it in between my teeth, and I used my own teeth essentially to hold these together just the way I wanted, and then glued it. And for a first try, very first try, it actually came out okay. But I was very, very unhappy with the color. So that's when I went ahead and found the A1 teeth and ordered them. So let's go back to finished product. Anyway, I guess that's about it. I am physically unable to show you like the crafting side of this, the part where I'm actually using the Dremel on the teeth to shape them, because I don't have three hands. I can't hold the cell phone and then hold the tooth and then hold the Dremel. So unfortunately I can't show you that process, but it's somewhat self-explanatory. I can show you at least, no, I guess I can't. So that's it. This was my little journey. And again, this is not dental advice. This is just something I did.